Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the pen tool. In this lesson we're going to discuss how to make a perfect selection of this object. In this case it's a car. In the previous part we discussed how to create a path, how to make selections, just the basics of the pen tool, and in this case we're going to put it into a real-time scenario and see how we can make a selection of this car. So first I'm going to access the pen tool by pressing the P key in my keyboard and start off with the selection. Let me zoom into the object a little bit more. So Control plus to zoom in, and I'll hold the space bar to get the hand tool and move it somewhere to the right until I get this. So the pen tool, first and foremost, like I've mentioned before, you make a click at the starting point. So I'll make a click somewhere there, and then you start following the path that you need. In this case I'm going to follow the edges of this car. So when you make selections in the pen tool, like I've discussed before, you can form curves by clicking and dragging. So when you do that, make sure that you do not go ahead with the second point somewhere there, which is like too long. Make it short distances. So maybe the second point somewhere there, and then you click and drag. This is actually one way of doing this. Alright, you click and then you drag. Now the thing is, if you can place, now you see that when I click there and drag, I'm getting an external path coming out from this particular anchor point, that this particular path here. Now if you can't point this path into the direction that you want to continue, for example, I don't want to continue the path this way, I want to continue it this way. So if you can do that, you can just leave the mouse at that particular point there and start continuing. But however, you notice that when I do that, I cannot form the exact shape. Like I want the first path to be like that. I cannot form the exact shape. So in that case, you can kind of, make the shape there like that, even though this is going, not in the direction of the path, and I can leave the mouse. And then in order to continue from that particular point, I cannot just click that. When I do that, you see that it just, makes a path in that way. So if I use Control Alt Z to undo, what I can do is hold the Alt key in my keyboard, click on that particular point. When I do that, the extra path that I extended just gets disappeared or removed, and then I can continue with the path again. So I can click there, hold my left mouse button to make any drags or selections, put it in, if it's possible, put it in the direction of the path, which is this, right? I put it in the direction of the path, and then I don't want to use any alt keys to remove any extra path. I can just continue with the selection. I can make a click there, drag it a little bit to form the curve, something like that. That's the direction that I want to go towards, and then continue, and then continue, and then go on like that. Now this is one way of doing it, but I've been using this method sometimes before, but now I think that what I think is there's another method which makes this thing a little bit more easier than it looks right now. So what I'll do is, I'm on the paths the panel. I'm going to just drag that and delete it, and then I'm going to show you another way, an easier way to do this. So you click on the starting point, and then you make a click, the second click over there without dragging. You just make one click, then you form a straight line. After you get this, what you do, you add an anchor point at the center of that line, or wherever you feel that might give a point where it might give a proper curve. So in this case, I'll click the center, I get an anchor point. When I do that, I get into the direct selection tool. Like I mentioned before, the direct selection tool, the path selection tool, and the pen tool goes kind of related to each other. So if I right click there, I'll get two things: path selection and direct selection. In this case, I need access to the direct selection in order to click on that point. So what I can do while I'm on the pen tool, to access the direct selection tool, I can use a shortcut key, Control, in my keyboard. You see that the cursor changes and I see the direct selection tool. When I see that, I make a click there and then drag this on top. You see that now I can form a curve. I can move it to the left, I can move it to the right, wherever I want the point to be, and I can adjust that curvature like that. And then I can still make straight line selections. I can just put a point there, make a click, hold the Control key, lift that up a little bit, adjust the points. You don't want to adjust it 100% right now. Maybe first you can complete the path, and then finally afterwards you can come back and adjust the paths as you want. So this kind of, I feel that saves some of your time. Instead of going away from the path, holding the alt key, removing the extra path and then continuing, this method kind of saves you a lot of time. So whatever method you feel that it's convenient for you, you can use that method. So let me just go on a little bit further in the path. I make a click there, hold the control key, drag that to the top, adjust the curve in that way, and then continue somewhere there, make a click there, hold the control key and lift up, and then I can continue on this path. So whenever you click the control key, you can also move the anchor points. You can also move the extra handles that you see here to form a more curvature as well. So any points that you see, the anchor points, the handle points there, any points you can control by the direct selection tool, right? So I make a click there, that looks okay, drag it across, make a click there, control, up arrow key, and then I can go around the car in this particular way. So all you have to do is just make clicks of the car, right? So continue there, I'm going to move there and go on with the selection. So you can continue this and go around the car in this particular way. So once you come back to the starting point, you can make a selection of it. So I'm not going to spend time going around the car. Now you know how you can do this. If you go around in a pretty neat way, you can go around with the tires and all that using the same technique. So let me just now make a rough selection. Let's say I go here, make a click there, and then I go around and I go around and then come back to the starting point. So the same way that I started off here, if you spend some time carefully and go around the car and then come back to the starting position after making a neat selection, not a selection like this. Alright, so you can just, sorry, that's not the starting point, that's the starting point. When you come to the starting point, you'll notice that the hello circle comes up. When that comes, you make a click and it closes the selection. Now not to worry. Now let's say, for example, once you make the selection, you still find that there are certain adjustments to be made. So still there's no problem. You can hold the control key, make a click again on the path and make changes to the points, again holding the control key, and adjust your path. And if you want to add more points in between, you can just make a click without the control key. Once you get that plus sign, hold the control key afterwards and then move and adjust the point as you want. Right, so it's pretty simple as that. The only thing is very simple to use once you get hold of it, but it takes a little bit of time. Now, like I've said before, good things take time, right? So if you want to make a perfect selection, which you cannot do with the other types of selection tools such as the quick selection or the magic wand tool, the best tool that you can go ahead with is the pen tool, because it just makes a perfect selection. So once you're done with the selection with the path, you know what to do. You can right click on the path and make a selection. If you feel that you want to add some feather to it, you can do that again, between 1 to 5 maybe, and then you click OK. It makes a selection like that. So it'll be perfect as that, right? So that's how it basically works. So once you're done with the selection, you can just delete the work path, and then it's all done for you. So again, if you right click on the pen tool, I said that you get a different sets of tools, anchor points, delete anchor points and stuff like that. So these keys we already accessed by the plus add anchor point tool comes up when you hold your mouse on top of a selection. Let's say I hold control, make a direct selection. If you go to the center, you get that add anchor point. So that's the tool that you have over here. So it just comes up there. And delete anchor point is the key that you see when you hold the alt key in your keyboard. Let me do a direct selection again. Hold control, click on the path. You want to remove a path, you hold the alt key and remove the path. You get that minus symbol there. You see that? That's the delete anchor point tool, which comes up automatically when you hover your mouse on top of an existing point. And apart from that, we have one more thing, which is the free form pen tool, which again acts like a sort of a pencil artwork, which you can just free form, just start drawing around a selection and then coming back to the starting point, it just converts it into a path. So I'm not pretty sure in what instances you might use this. It's not that useful, but the useful one here is the pen tool. And at the end, at the bottom, you also have one more thing known as a convert point tool. Basically, let me do Control Alt Z a few times to undo that. The convert point tool, what it does is when you use that, you can convert a point, for example that point, to a free form point like this. For example, if I make a click there, let's make a click there, it just you know, that particular free form, that particular point which is there, for example this point gets disappeared when you click there, right? It just goes off, and then you can start adding more points. So it's just that it converts that particular point into an anchor point and not an extended point that you saw before. So before the points were like this because they're dragged, but when I take the convert point tool and make a click there, those 2 points, extra points, disappear, and what I left behind with is the anchor point. So basically this is how the pen tool works. It's pretty simple but takes a little bit of time. So apart from that, I already discussed the direct selection tool. The difference between the path selection and the direct selection tool is this: if you take the path selection tool and make a click, it just allows you to select the path and then, for example, move it or something like that. It doesn't allow you to control the points, it just to select the path and move it at any instance. And the direct selection tool allows you to make selections of the point, right? So you hold, for example, the control key, you can make changes to the points with the direct selection tool. So that's what I wanted to share in this lesson. Hope you got the idea of how the pen tool works. Might look a little bit complicated right now, but once you get hold of it, you'll be using it all the time to make selections. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.